Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Tool to Play presents Still Got Game with Derek D. Smooth Nolan and Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
If you'd like to sponsor Still Got Game, email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. Hey now! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Still Got Game, episode 299. Still Got Game's official podcast of tooltoplay.com. I am, as always, Derek D. Smooth Nolan.
And I am Joel to the Dude, to the Rock, to the Albert.
Nice. What's going on, Joel Dude I Rock Albert?
Not a mooch.
We're 5 weeks in a row, baby.
Show. Yeah, you know, it's just commonplace. Every week there's a show, guaranteed. We never miss a beat. This is now a fact.
Except we've given the caveat during the holiday season.
Yeah, that's not our fault.
No, it's holidays.
I don't actually want to be with my family. I'd rather be with you guys. I just have to.
Yeah. Sometimes Santa's like, hey, you're coming with me, bro. We're going to do some coke.
What is Santa doing in this scenario?
Well, Santa, he's got a lot of other days free besides the 25th. You know what I mean? Like,
he's one nefarious motherfucker. Yeah. As soon as the holidays are done, he's out doing a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah, and he does that all the way. Like the elves take care of everything. And he's like, hey, dude. Oh shit, yeah, Santa's in the house, baby. Oh, let's get jolly. Wow, that's fucked up.
That is fucked up.
This is why this is an adult show. Kids, if you are watching or listening, Santa does not love coke and hookers.
Or how about just don't watch and listen? Come on.
Yeah, or that too. It is called Tool to Play, but we do know, as I explained last week, that I have some fans in high school. So yeah, it's weird. It is weird. I'm always nervous about what I say now because I say some horrendous shit. But
you know.
All right. Well, let's, Jay, on that, why don't we hop into the meat of the show? And we'll start off with feedback from last week's show. Remember, if any of you want to leave us a voicemail, it will cut you off after a minute. Kieran O'Ryan comments. You're so right about giving the developers enough time to make a game properly. However, I don't think delays are the answer. What really needs to happen is that realistic deadlines are agreed at the start of the process. If it takes 2 years to make a game properly, then take 2 years. Don't release something crappy after 12 months, or wait 12 months, then delay it when you knew all along it would take longer.
All right, this is.
I part agree with that, but part of that is not realistic.
I can't agree with it because
exactly. You just don't know how long it's going to take.
This is not the way any job like this that's the whole point. Is when you set out to make a video game, you aren't like, I know for sure this is going to take 3 years. Yeah. It's never ever happened ever in the history of really building anything.
It doesn't happen with anything you code.
Anything.
At my day job this week, now our releases slipped 3 times in the last week, and It's not a good thing. And it happens. And this was already a pushed out date from this was the fallback date. And it just sometimes there's shit that happens. Like you're about to release, all of a sudden you got a critical bug in it. You're not going to release it with the critical bugs. You got to work that out. All of a sudden you fix that bug and a few new bugs show up, and you really got to shake it out. It's not an exact science. It's not like it's not like a recipe. If I add this, and this, and bake it for 20 minutes, it's ready. It's just, it doesn't work that way.
Well, and this goes back to the point we were talking about last week, is that these dates aren't made by developers anyway. They're made by usually marketing teams and other people that are pushing for you to give you a date. It's basically one guy comes in an office and he's constantly asking you, when's it going to be done, Dave? In this scenario, this guy's name is Dave. When's it going to be done, Dave? When's it going to be done? I want everyone to make sure they know who Dave is. So, they're constantly pushing to get this date set. And eventually it's almost like a matter of will. Will breaks of the developer and he decides, okay, how about the 3rd of February? Literally, I guarantee you half these times they're just pulling these dates out of their ass. And a lot of them, the ones that they are pulling out, are then massaged even more by the marketing team because they'll say, wait, February? Well, we really want to get this out in November because that's when we make all the money. So could we maybe not do February and maybe push it back 4 or 5 months? And that's how all these dates come about. It's not like there are very few developers, Rockstar, Blizzard, and a few others, that literally will release a game whenever it's done. And that's literally because they don't have a deadline. And that's why we always say it. Yeah, exactly. They even said, and I don't know if we had this as news today, I don't think we did, but they pushed it back again and they said, we even felt like we gave an arbitrary date the last time. Like we literally didn't even know when the game would be done. We just felt like pressure, not from marketing, but literally from the community to give you guys something. And we felt like, okay, maybe we'll hit this date. But then they got close to that date and they were like, nah, this is not even this is not even going to happen. So,
they took the high road.
Exactly. It took a high road. So yeah, whether you're building a house, whether you're building software, whether you're doing anything where you really cannot justify any timeline, it's going to happen. So yes, in a perfect world, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, perhaps over the pond there, Kieran O'Ryan, maybe you haven't seen the movie Money Pit, but whenever Tom Hanks asked how long was it going to take, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. And that went on for like a year and a half. So yeah, it just doesn't happen. But
yeah.
But we appreciate the comment nonetheless.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, 77 comments. Love the show. Keep up the great work. Weekly podcast listener. Sorry I can't make the live show. I wish I could. Well, we wish you could, 77.
Yeah.
You're good peeps.
It's totally fine. Anyone that comes back again and again and again, that's the thing that I got to say. I mean, we love the new people that come in. Obviously, we want more new people. We want to get a critical mass for our show. But what really does, really, I mean, for me and Derek both, like give us a lot of energy and it makes us keep going is when we see like return people like Kieran O'Ryan, like you and like all the other people that come back day in and day out every single week. And they want to listen to the show and they want to comment on the show. So we don't care how you consume it, just that you do consume it.
No, it's nice that you give some back. There's a lot of people, like we have obviously plenty of listeners. And for the most part, I would say 90% of our comments come from the same 1% of listeners. And then the other comment, and I try to mix them up each week, but a lot of the comments just come from random people that are like a one-shot commenter. They've been listening for a while and it's the first time they've commented. So it's nice to have some repeat action. And actually, that's how Altius became so prominent. Altius didn't always ask a question every week. And then all of a sudden we started using his questions and he was probably like, wow, if I keep asking, they'll keep using. And that was right. And Altius is now one of our best segments of the show.
and honestly, yeah, he's like, it's funny because I think we give almost opportunities to have these listeners become a part of the show. Altius is essentially a part of our show. It's weird if he doesn't ask a question for us. Like
and he even apologizes when he doesn't. He's like, I was on vacation. I can't catch anything. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we need those things. It's the feedback that really makes the show personal, because if it is just me and Derek, I'm sorry, we're amazing, but we're going to be boring eventually. So we need some outside source that we can sort of, get funky on. So it's nice to have some people come out there. So we appreciate it.
Agreed. All right. And last but not least, Ray comments. When I sent in my comment last week, my intention was for it to be a compliment, but after listening to the show, I can see how it could be taken otherwise. Anyway, the show was multiple levels above the baseline of just plain decent. Keep it up. Hey, we were happy with decent.
Yeah, that's the thing is we knew it was a compliment, and I hope you don't think that we thought that it wasn't. We know it was. We're just saying that whether it's a compliment or a diss, it doesn't matter to us at all. We appreciate it no matter what.
Yes, so. It was just nice you took the time out of your day to say the show is decent.
Right. And if you want to take the time of your day to tell me the show is terrible or tell Derek that he sucks or that I suck, that's fine too. Yep. We're probably going to talk some crazy shit about you on the show, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had like a quality negative comment. Usually it's when it involves anal fisting or something else and some mom overhears their kid listening and then we get in deep shit. And,
well, that's why I still think that we recently on Twitter had someone basically on Twitter tell us that they were no longer going to listen to the show because we talked about masturbating cats.
And I said it was a great advertisement.
Yes, and I was like, this is perfect. So, I mean, as much as we love when we get listeners, sometimes we love it when we force listeners away, which is a really strange thing.
Because sometimes if people are leaving, other people are like, hey, if those guys are leaving, maybe this is my kind of place. Exactly. Well, let me go check this out. So I'm sure that brought in some listeners. So if anyone that came from Twitter and saw the conversation about the cat and dog masturbation and leaving our show, and you are a new listener because of that, please let us know this week.
Absolutely.
All right, well, speaking of where to do that, if any have feedback, give us a call, 773-527-2961, or email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. And in site-related news, I have absolutely nothing.
Zero.
All right, that was a quick segment. So we'll just hop right on over to what we're playing. Joel, Dude I Rock Albert, what have you, sir, been playing this week?
Well, obviously, I'm still playing WoW now that it's out, its new expansion, and then also the new expansion for Destiny. So they're sort of mixing in, and we'll talk about it later at the very end of the show, which one is winning out. But I have played them both all week, so that's kind of what I'm stuck on right now. What about you? I'm assuming close to the same.
I've done nothing but play Destiny. I've been playing through the new content. Obviously, some dynamics are, and we'll talk about it more later, not really how I expected things to be getting to the expansion, and how certain gear instantly became horrible and other stuff happened. But as of now, I have a 31 even and a 30, which I feel is pretty good for my two dudes. So most definitely good. And I just, for those of you not watching the show, I just briefly had a view of Hit, our producer, and he is like leaning so far back in his chair. He's almost catatonic at this point. I'm not even sure he knows the show's going on. And now Jay sees him. What do you make of that, Jay?
I don't know. I love that sometimes it looks like he's not even paying attention to the show at all.
Yeah.
Right now, it looks like he's listening to his own music and just not even focusing on anything. I'm loving it.
His arms crossed across his belly. He's almost asleep. His eyes are closed. And now he's trying to fight a smile.
Oh my God, he's going to fall.
Yes. This is what we have to deal with during the show. If there was a way we could hide Hit, we would, but sometimes it adds to the show. So, all right. Well, I guess on that, normally we would hop over the new releases right now, but there are 0 new releases out this week because you would have to be a completely moronic company to put out a new release, a week and a half before Christmas. Like, if you wanted to get sales, this is not the time. You're not like, oh yeah, I'm going to get those last minute guy shoppers that go in last second. They're going to pick up something for their wife. They're definitely going to pick up my AAA first person shooter. No one has ever said that, and there's a reason why, because that's completely imbecilic. So all the new games are out. No one's releasing anything. I did get a code for IDARB, which is coming out for everybody in February, and that sort of did like this weird soft Twitter release this week. So I got to check that out, which is that's that new popular. I don't know if I'd call it a arena. It's like a Super Smash Brothers meets weird 8-bit stuff meets awesome 8-player online play, 8-player local Xbox console play, 8 controller support. Like that doesn't happen a lot, but the game has been massively pimped, and the guy Mike Mikos who put it out, he is. I don't remember. It was like maybe a year and a half ago. There was that guy. We did a story about it where a guy had his daughter, and she was upset that, like, how come in Donkey Kong you're always saving the princess and the boy is saving the girl? And he respun it and made his own version where basically he changed the code so you were the girl and the girl was the hero. That's the same guy, and he put out this game now. So, but this is definitely one of the more anticipated downloadable titles for Xbox Live. It's going to be a fun game, and I can't wait to check it out. But like I said, I've just been too busy with Destiny, and we were away for my birthday this weekend at a casino, so it was a little chaotic at the time, but good times. So I guess, Jay, on that, why don't we meander on over into gaming news? First story.
And this is all going to be about services at Pairs today. PlayStation Plus free games totaled more than $1,300 in value per subscription this year. This is via joystick. Sony would, of course, like to see its PlayStation Plus service as a bargain. But how much of the value does it really add to your gaming life? Well, according to the data compiled by UK publication Push Square, it's quite a lot, actually. After combining the 2014 selection of games offered as part of the service's instant game collection, Push Square reports that Sony offered $1,349.29 worth of games in North America, and of course $960.64 worth of games in Europa. Now,
those are pounds, not dollars. Yes.
I would hope people knew that, but that's okay.
It's only because you call them dollars.
I understand, but I mean, if you can't do the convert. Anyway, now, of course, there are some caveats to this data. While the games themselves are free to add to your collection and free to play while you have your subscription for $50 a year, once your subscription lapses, of course, you lose access to all of those said games, which blows. Push Square's numbers also do not separate games by system, and I think this is probably the most important point of this article. So you only got the full $1,349.29 value of games if you owned a PlayStation 3, a PlayStation 4, and a PlayStation Vita, which I think you could probably say that if you have a PS4, you're not using your PS3 as much, and so on and so forth. Still, considering that the average monthly Metacritic score, factoring in, of course, all the games, was 79 for the US and 78 in Europe, as well as the fact that the PS Plus also grants subscribers to discounts, giveaways, share play, and of course the online multiplayer of the PS4, it's not a terrible deal. In fact, it's a deal, really, no matter which way you look at it. And that's how you possibly saved more than $1,200 in 12 months for your online, or I guess, online gaming collection. So what do you think? It's pretty cool.
I think that's awesome. I never really figured out the dollar value, and I guess like for us, where we're a PS4 and we have a PS3, it's not even hooked up now.
Yeah.
But we're a PS4 and Vita house, and we've pulled down each month. We go in there, we pull down those free games. Not a lot of them played, but we have them. So even if you take that and you assume that it's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, we're still talking $900 something worth of free shit that's been pulled down between the PS4 and the Vita at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess for me, it's probably like right around $500, or I don't know. It's like right around that number because I just have a PS4. And the same thing, value is perceived more than anything. I mean, you could put the value amount on there, but like Derek said, I've pulled down probably 5 or 6 games. I've played none of them. So really, I don't know if I'm getting the value or if I'm not. If it's a game that I want to play, then I actually think the perceived value makes sense. Oh, it's a game I was going to pay money for. Now I'm getting it for free. This is a good value. So for now, the way I look at it when I spend my money each month is I'm paying for online play. That's really what I'm getting.
This is just all the icing on the cake above that.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're going to be getting the new Uncharted or whatever, now you have all these old Uncharteds there, and you're like, well, I'm new to the PlayStation and I haven't played through these, and maybe I should. Or there's definite benefits to this. Or Little Big Planet games. Those, you pull those down, play all those. It's an easy way to fill in the back history for games that you haven't played, and you got them for free as part of this instant game collection. And plenty of the XBLA equivalent titles, the downloadable, not AAA games, those are all been free on there. Every month there's 1 or 2 of those, and if you're just looking for some quick time killer, there's plenty of those on there. So you really can't go wrong with it. And you're already paying for it anyway to play for the online multiplayer, so you might as well reap the benefits. But the actual dollar value stuff they gave away it really is impressive.
Yeah, it is. I mean, when you put it all together as a bundle of everything that you could have gotten if you got every single game, it is pretty impressive. I think it's a little misleading just because I don't think a lot of households do all of these things, but at least you could see the value on paper. You can see it right there. If you want to take advantage of it, take advantage of it. It's right there for you. So it's pretty cool shit.
Agreed.
All right, next story, and of course, not to be outdone, this story is about Xbox. Xbox Live gave away $584 worth of games in 2014. This is via Polygon. So Xbox Live gamers with Gold program gave away more than $500 worth of games at current prices in 2014. Drawing off the PlayStation Plus analysts from Push Square, Polygon did their own version, basically, of the Xbox Live's games with Gold benefits to North American subscribers. Though the whole dollar amount, which is $584.67, is much smaller than the $1,300 plus that PlayStation Plus delivered, Microsoft also is dealing with one less platform. Of course, they don't have the Vita. PlayStation Plus offers games for the PS Vita handheld, and games with Gold didn't ramp up for the Xbox One until June. So if you guys recall, it took a little time for them to start actually offering games. 34 games were, of course, offered for free in 2014 for those with the $60 Xbox Live Gold membership, which many have long considered a standard, if not a hidden cost, of the Xbox 360 or Xbox One. There's really no way, actually, to play the Xbox multiplayer without it, after all. So you kind of need to spend the money. The free games range from $9.99 titles like Halo Spartan Assault to Darksiders 2, currently listed as $39.99 on the Xbox Live Marketplace. As for the Metacritic scores go, the offerings with games on Gold clocking at a 78.3, worsened, of course, by Spartan Assault 53, which no one cares about or plays, and Crimson Dragons 55. But also improved, however, by Halo Reach's 91, which I think is probably the wrong number anyway. So, what are your thoughts? I think it's pretty even.
Yeah, when you take everything into account. Now, granted, the Metacritic score is way off, 90-something average versus 70-something average. But like I said, Xbox gave out a lot more of these XBLA games, and they started out definitely with their shittier games. Yeah. And for the Xbox One, they gave away Crimson Dragon, which was a launch title that they couldn't sell. When they did sell it, nobody liked it. So when you're giving away something that already has a shitty Metacritic score, that metric kind of goes away. Because but either way, there were still plenty of quality games given away, both for the Xbox One and the 360. Like on given months, I pulled down, well, at least online, I chose to redeem the 360 game just in case I ever wanted to go back and play it, because there was a bunch of good 360 games that came out for free on this. I don't know if I'll ever play them, but it was there, and I wanted to make sure that I locked them in. And that's kind of the weird part about these things too, is like when they're there, you have to make it a step to commit to, like, hey, maybe I don't want to download it, but I want to say that I want it so that I've already claimed it later for when the next month is around, it's not the free thing anymore. But either way, I think that Sony really put this out there last year with the PS3. Microsoft had to follow suit, and I think they really have done well with this. And I think that now both sides are really offering a extra value add over and above the, like they said, it's everybody called it like a known quantity. There were people were paying for 2 gamer tags. I was paid for D Smooth and D Rough for the longest time. Then I did the family pack, and then they got rid of that. But at least giving some value on something that we all considered a necessary expense anyway.
Yeah, I agree. And it's that hidden fee quote in there is a little misleading too, because really you're doing the same thing with your PS4 now. And I hear this, it sounds like people don't realize this now that they're paying for this on their PS4. Because I've had arguments recently, like within the last week, where someone's like, "Oh yeah, but you got to pay for your online service," and I'm like, "You know that you're paying, right?"
The reason why we're playing together is because you paid.
We're playing online together right now because you spent money. It's the same, basic barrier to entry. So
maybe they thought they were just buying it for the free stuff, and they didn't realize that they needed to buy it.
They had to have it.
Online play. Yes,
I do have to say, Sony does a much better job of like promoting what you're getting versus what you have to have. Like, oh, you're getting all this free stuff. It's amazing. It's like, oh, well, I would buy that anyway because I get a bunch of free games. Oh, by the way, you needed to play online.
Yeah, you didn't even know.
Yeah,
so I guess that's a sign of a job well done.
Yeah, it's great marketing.
Yes,
fucking Sony, good job.
Yep.
Speaking of Sony, more news on Xbox One's Windows 10 update, which arrives this January. And this is actually pretty cool stuff. I saw a couple of screenshots before the show. In September, Microsoft revealed that the core components of the Windows 10 operating system would be added into the Xbox One in a 2015 update, though scant further information was available. According to Xbox division head Phil Spencer, all crucial details are coming in January. The goal of this cross-platform integration is, of course, user convenience, and sadly, not that I'll be able to play my Xbox One games on my PC. God damn it. But including features of the Windows 10... I just totally lost my space. I'm sorry. But including features of the Windows 10 operating system in Xbox by Jesus. This is one of these days, people. I apologize. By including features for Windows 10 operating system in the Xbox One, Microsoft makes things much easier for developers looking to port their games from one device to another, say, of course, from the PC to the Xbox One, or for the Xbox One to a Windows Phone device, which is pretty cool. And if you guys remember, basically there's a Windows 10 operating system hidden somewhere inside the Xbox One, and they kind of overlap with one another. Yep. So in the world where people can easily own half a dozen gaming devices, this is a very attractive feature, especially to smaller developers who, of course, lack massive budgets. Spencer will appear at Microsoft event at the Computing Giants Redmond, Washington campus on January 21st to, of course, lay out his course of action. If you can't make it to the Pacific Northwest, you'll be able to, of course, watch it live and on the intranet. as they're going to be streaming the event. So that's pretty cool. I mean, have you seen some of the screenshots?
I saw the Xbox portion of it. The Xbox, like there's now like this. It's almost like the Xbox app is now.
It's exactly
but on crack. It's like more so like you can actually do a lot of the everything but play the game.
That's really what it is.
Yes. Yeah. So it's nice to see that integration. It's nice to know that now developers making games for Windows have this a much easier method for it. I assume these are all like low level graphics calls and kernel calls and all that stuff coming in. So now it's really as much as compile once for Windows and then change a compiler flag and boom, hey, you got an Xbox One game. And I think that probably all the controller stuff is going to be coming in this update so that there's controller parity across one or the other. So now, hey, you made a game for Xbox, you can compile it for Windows 10 and you have controller support in Windows. This is literally a 2-for-1 deal or more, because now you have all these Windows phones and everything else. I think this is great, and I was excited to hear this when we heard it back in earlier this year, and now that we're going to find out every detail about it in January, I'm going to watch this stream, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they say.
Yeah, I have to say that, and this kind of maybe goes outside the realm of gaming, but I do think it's important. This is really the first Windows that's coming out, and I don't know if a lot of people have been paying attention, but it's actually getting really great media buzz, and they're adding these things inside the OS that people really, really want. And this is something that is a great bridge finally. Maybe, the idea that we'll ever be able to play our Xbox One games on our PC is probably far and few between because they need to sell these Xboxes. But even still, being able to do everything that you were going to do on your Xbox when you're at work, when you're just, fucking around, if you want to manage your friends list, send out messages, whatever, this creates an ecosystem finally for Microsoft. And this is what they've sorely lacked in the last 10 years. If they want to, for instance, sell more phones, a great bridge to that phone is, of course, probably going to be your Xbox. Because if I can do all my Xbox things on my Windows phone and that talks to my PC, which talks to my Xbox One, this gives you a reason to stay inside of Microsoft's world. Yep. And it's something that Apple has done phenomenally well. And if you've got your MacBook Pro or something like that, and you've dealt with the new Yosemite operating system that's come down, it's awesome. I mean, I get all my text messaging and all my other stuff integrates seamlessly into my computer. I don't even have to have my phone. As long as it's in the network wherever I am, I have full control over my phone. And I can answer calls on my computer, I can do all that stuff. And it's as simple as just being in the same room. And that creates an amazing value add. So I'm hoping that this stuff just grows and grows and grows. It's really cool shit.
Me too.
Definitely.
All right.
Oh, yeah. We have another story.
Yes, we do. Good job.
Wow. I didn't even read this one. This week's, well, we'll say it at the end. Microsoft adds Bitcoin support. And this is weird as fuck. This is via Game Politics. Microsoft is now accepting Bitcoins for digital purchases on its various platforms, the company revealed this Thursday. Those who use Bitcoin currency can spend it on purchases on Windows, Windows Phone, Xbox Games, Xbox Music, and the Xbox video stores. The quote-unquote support is more like an exchange. Consumers are limited to just adding fixed dollar amounts to accounts with no direct purchase options using the currency itself. A maximum of up to $100, which is not too much, can be added at a time, and it is only available to accounts in the United States. So Microsoft's Bitcoin support comes via BitPay, and this is a weird life cycle of Bitcoin. In the last, it's been up, it's been down, and it's really bizarre to see someone like Microsoft embracing it. So
embracing it everywhere. Like this isn't just Xbox stuff. This is Windows Phone. It's almost like validating Bitcoin as a legitimate payment method and not what it is now, which is the whatever that fucking road website is where you can go buy fucking kind guns or weapons or whatever else, that the one that got shut down by the FBI. But this is, it kind of legitimates Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
Which is absolutely strange.
It's one of those things where, and it's like a black market way of trading money, or at least that's how it kind of came up. And it's sort of needed this. It needs this if it wants to grow. It needs like companies like Microsoft and others to do it. And I think what you're seeing, and you've actually in the last I want to say last year, you've seen a lot of companies, and it's always like a press thing that gets released, like, hey, we're going to do Bitcoin. And I think a lot of that just has to do with the fact that they want to try it out too. So, what's the harm of Microsoft saying, and I think this $100 limit is a perfect example of that, like, let's try it out. We won't allow them to do a shit ton of transactions. We'll limit it to $100. We'll do a conversion so they can't actually use the currency itself. And this is a great way to try it out. If it proves to be successful, that's what Bitcoin needs to really keep it going. So if you like the idea of Bitcoin and you like the idea of this denomination that is universal and only on the internet, this is what you need to do. You need to start spending your money, or your Bitcoins rather, in these big companies like Microsoft, Sony, and whoever decides to embrace Bitcoin. So I don't know. It's weird.
It is weird.
I never understood it personally. Like I don't see the. I don't know. Am I too old? What's the reason for Bitcoin?
Because you don't have a server farming Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. So Derek, what do you think about this story?
Jay, this story has me saying, what the fuck? And on that, why don't we hop on over to the mailbag and voicemails? And we're going to start out with a call here from Brian, a.k.a. Shadow. Why don't you hit that up, Hit?
Hey, Joel and Derek. This is Brian, a.k.a. Shadow, and I have a question for you. With the death of the System Link games on Xbox One, what are your thoughts on the future of LAN events? It seems that with Halo Master Chief Collection, the only way to run LAN games is to be connected to the internet and play custom games. 343 says that as long as all systems are connected to the same router, it should take little actual bandwidth, but it's still a step in the wrong direction for LAN, which should be available offline. What are your thoughts on how new gaming systems seem to be removing tried and true features to make way for the new? Keep on being decent. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Well, that's a good question. It's I don't know how this. I guess that's a thing that no one ever really thought about. Is as System Link games go away, how does that affect LANs? And even if the developers are promising you that this is going to work and you're going to be able to. Everybody's local and you're connecting to our servers to matchmake you, but there's really no latency because we're doing local connections between all of you. I don't know if I buy into all that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's weird, especially for us for LANs. Obviously, we know a lot about that. It's what makes tool to play in a lot of respects. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't even know if it totally matters anymore. Like, it feels weird to. And that's weird because I think we obviously need System Link to do LAN and all that other stuff. But does it make a lot of sense for the developer to spend that time and money on System Link when that no longer is a huge requirement of the user base as a whole? Does that make sense? Or
no, I see what you're saying is originally System Link came about because nobody could write tight network code.
Yeah.
It was all this huge amounts of bandwidth. That's why when you played on the original Xbox and you used like XB Connect or one of these other utilities, you were pumping shitloads of data across the internet. Unless you had the top internet connection of everybody out there with a cable modem, you could not pump that data across. Nobody wrote tight network code. Now everybody's writing tighter and tighter code. And we've kind of seen this for a while.
Absolutely.
The early days of the tool to play LANs, we just linked everybody up and everything was fine. The last several years, we had to bridge in our internet connection to the LAN so that people could, their profiles would get loaded off of Bungie and for the last couple of Halo games because everything was stored in the cloud. So maybe you're playing locally, but to get your user data, that was all out there. So it's annoying, but I don't know if it really has a direct effect on LANs as long as your LAN can provide an internet connection as well.
Yeah, and it's I think again, I don't think the developers are like specifically targeting to not do the system network stuff, but I think it's just like at the end of the day and it kind of goes back to like these really long launch dates and like trying to get the game out. I just don't think System Link is on their mind anymore, and I just don't think we'll really ever see a commitment to a good System Link game. Does anyone know? I mean, Hit, you would probably know. Do you know if the Halo whatever anniversary has System Link inside of it?
That does not. That's the thing that's causing all these problems is that people expected it to have System Link.
See, I didn't expect it to.
No, I wouldn't have expected it either because this is a brand new re-roll of taking those games and porting them to the current
how the world is now.
Yes.
And that's the thing is the world no longer, sadly, really requires System Link to be efficient anymore. And it's an added cost that 2% are going to be taking advantage of. So it's a great call. It's a good question. I like that stuff. Good stuff.
All right. Well, 77 asks, as two MMO players, how do you feel that the first few months of available activities in Destiny measure up to the release experiences of PC-based MMOs when they first debuted? For example, how do the variety of activities available in Destiny, only one raid, multiple strikes, daily and weekly challenges, bounties, Iron Banner, Queen's Bounties, etc., compare to the activities that were available when World of Warcraft was first released in 2004, or other MMOs? I have no personal experience with MMOs, and I was curious if the number/variety of things to do in Destiny was comparable to the other MMO startups.
All right, so this is a good question. However, it already isn't fair to compare what WoW did in 2004. And that's the problem with the question, because
there was no end game in 2004.
There was nothing in 2004. What happened in 2004 was they released WoW, and really raiding in general, outside of a couple things in EverQuest where you'd spend your entire life trying to kill this one thing, raiding that idea hadn't really been formulated and distilled down into what World of Warcraft eventually came out with Onyxia and a couple of the raids that first were released. Now, having said that, you really need to compare Destiny to WoW's expansion that just was released at the same time as this expansion, because this is what gamers now expect today. And to use another game's example, like WildStar and a couple others like Star Wars and all the new MMOs that have come out, they have all launched with multiple instances and multiple raids at launch. So that's what you really need to compare Destiny to, is what are MMOs doing today? What does the landscape for MMOs look like now? And if you were to put those two on paper and look at Destiny and look at what other MMOs doing, you would definitely see a severe lack in content. For instance, essentially, the current raid that is out for World of Warcraft that we just started playing, we are only 2 bosses in. There are 7 at launch, 7 total bosses, but there are a myriad of things to do besides this raid. And there will be, within the next month or two, another 14 to 17 bosses and raids coming right along the backside of that. So if you're to compare the current state of raiding MMOs in an RPG on a PC, and you want to actually do a direct comparison to Destiny, which I think is a little unfair, I need to stipulate that, it is woefully inept. It does not have a third of what real MMOs come out with when it comes to content. However, the reason that is that you're paying $15 a month in general terms, if we're going to use World of Warcraft as an example, to really bootstrap all that content. You give them money every single month to be able to play. Now, there are some companies that don't do that. Star Wars is doing rating just fine without having any subscription model. WildStar is actually doing the same. So that's not to say that it can't be done. It certainly is. It's just that when you see the breadth of what you get out of a paid MMO versus something like what you get out of Destiny, I think you would be really surprised at how little Destiny really offers you. But it doesn't make what Destiny does any less.
No, and Destiny also has the difference where, as of right now, your raid group size is very small. So you kind of take that and you extrapolate, well, you know what, you're not going to take down these giant elaborate boss fights that require 25 men. Things are going to be more catered for a 6-man team. And I don't know. I feel like at launch, having one decent raid and 5 or 6, the strikes are the equivalent of instances.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think out of the gate, that was not a bad thing to put out. And that came with your game. That was free. And for this expansion, I don't know what it actually costs if you bought it piecemeal, $20 maybe, $15, $20.
It's about $20. $20. Yeah.
So you got for that one more raid, and you've got one more strike, which is your instance. That's where the value starts to be questionable.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing and I think you're totally right. As a game release, a lot of people bitched about the content that Destiny had available. However, as an MMO release, let's go with WildStar again, because it's the closest comparison right now. they had one raid as well. Now, again, raid-wise, in terms of size, they had 14 bosses, and then immediately, not as an expansion, as a free download, they had another 10 bosses on top of that in a completely new raid instance. So, again, if you're going to do apples to oranges and stuff like that, it's very hard to do that because it is apples and oranges. It's not the same thing. But I think over time, and what a lot of this, I think, is a cause of is I don't think they yet know how to develop quickly for Destiny. A lot of this comes down to how fast can developers push out content. It's a question that MMO developers have been asking themselves for years. And because we've never seen this in an FPS space, I think Bungie's fairly green and they don't really know how to do this yet. And I think that's a very fair thing to do, is say, well, these guys are really breaking new ground when it comes to an FPS MMO. It's really never been done outside of PlanetSide, and it's really never been done on a PvE side. PlanetSide was always, if you guys don't know, is a FPS MMO, but that's a PvP shooter. That's you versus other factions. To do a raid boss style encounter, which you can really directly port from an MMO, and put it in a shooter, it's just never really been done, at least not very well. And so the scale at which they've done it, I think, should be commended. The raids are amazing. And that's one thing I think everyone needs to keep in mind. When you play the raid, if you walk away from it and say, this is fucking kick-ass, which a lot of people say, I think you're getting your value's worth. I just think over time it's going to be a lot harder for them to scale. It's hard.
It shows that the guys making a MMO FPS have played MMORPGs, because a lot of the elements that are being brought into Destiny in the raids have been things that are enjoyable things in actual MMORPGs. Like the things about, you stand too long somewhere, this happens, or this, like all about movement and locations and not just shooting, which in MMORPGs, it's more casting or whatever your class is, but here it's shooting. So I think they've done a great job with that. I think the one big thing to come in the Dark Below here, the new expansion, is that now they realize that not everybody is raiding. I think the last stat was 1.9 million people tried the Vault of Glass. 500,000 did it okay. So that's 1 out of every 4. And that's not even everybody that plays the game, because that's only 1.9 million people even tried it. So taking some of those things and bringing them to the strike in the newest update is great. Like the second part of the strike where, shit's, if you don't tear down the people quick enough, the fucking wizards, all of a sudden all hell breaks loose and they put the shit on the ground. It is, it's taking some of the raid dynamics now and bring them to what would be the instances, if you will. And I think that Bungie's doing the best they can. They're jumping to a brand new space where, like you said, there's a difference between PvE and PvP in an MMO FPS, and they're really breaking new ground here. And I think, despite the value question and some of the decisions they made about how you're going to let people gain loot and armor, I think they're doing the best they can. And if nothing else, they have been quick to react to,
they're willing to adjust
feedback, and they've basically rebuilt the game 3 times out now. So
this is true. And that's the thing, is I think at the end of the day, and again, I think my opinion is probably a little bit different than Derek's, is I actually believe that it was not worth the money. And I've actually played Destiny less because of that. But that doesn't mean that I don't think they're doing a great job. And I think that that's kind of important here. What I am used to as an MMO player, when I spend $20, $30, I believe the new expansion was $30 for WoW. This is going to give me 7 months of content easy, and I'm going to play it all the time. And I'm still not going to be able to do everything. I immediately almost finished the first Destiny raid the day I got it. That should never be the case in my world. If I'm spending money and I'm doing an MMO, I want to do it all the time. And if I'm going to draw those parallels, 6-mans are raids basically in Destiny. Well, World of Warcraft 5-mans are like, that's our piece of shit content, is a 5-man. And we have 20 of them at launch to go through, all the way from leveling up. And so again, like, I have to draw comparisons because it's the world that I'm from. But I have to. But it doesn't matter.
So you're comparing 20 to 20, but your 20 has to, the Destiny 20 is a standalone 20. Your 30 is a 30 plus $15 for each month it takes you to get through that content.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it needs to be stated. And again, like, I think that's the main takeaway there. But however, there are plenty of examples where that similar content cycle, because it's a non-Blizzard game, is free and you do not have to pay a monthly subscription and you'd still get that type of content. So I still have to draw those parallels because in the real world of MMOs, they exist almost everywhere now. Blizzard currently, as World of Warcraft, is one of the only MMOs left that has a paid subscription to play. It's a very unique entity. It's a very unique game in that way. Most people find they can't get people to pay them $15 a month anymore. But World of Warcraft makes such a great game, they do, that a lot of people are willing to pay that money. So yes, for the value that I got out of it, I was really, really let down. And I think more so to Derek's point about what they've done with gear. I think that's actually hurt the game far, far more than a lack of content or any of these other things. I mean, I could bitch about how short the raid is, but I would bitch far, far more about how they have dealt with gear and how it is the most grindy game I've played since World of Warcraft in vanilla, which was 10 years ago. It is insane now in an MMO world that users have to spend this much fucking time after they get the item to then level the item. It's a terrible, terrible design. And I do believe they will eventually change it. So,
and all the shit that you busted ass for in Vault of Glass was instantly shit compared to vendor items that you could pick up and they were better. So.
And it does sort of not bum me out, but like it's kind of odd to think about. You know, they have a direct now connection with Blizzard. Really, I mean, that's Activision Blizzard. Yes, one's the publisher and one's the game, but you would think like that they would at least go over there and hey, do you think this is good to do with or not even ask them outright, but just boot up the game and see how they do loot and why everyone loves the reason they've changed loot so much. I mean, there are, you know, sort of, they've taken all these things from MMOs that are great, but some things they just said, we're going to reinvent the way loot works for our game just because we are Destiny. We feel like we should. Sometimes maybe you shouldn't. Sometimes when things work out really, really well, you should say, hey, this is not broken. Let's try not to fix this. Let's do it how every MMO has done it. We'll get gear that scales, or we'll give the option to loot whatever gear you want. There's a million ways to do it, but the way they currently have is not.
They've done it from the beginning. They were like, hey, after you get to level 20, we're going to use light as the mechanic. Like,
right.
They made a lot of decisions that are out of left field, and some have been good, some have been bad, and they seem to be trying to fix ones that people don't like. So,
yeah, we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Absolutely.
All right, and last but not least, Altius asks, with Xbox One finally besting PS4 last month, do you think Microsoft will extend the streak to 2 months in a row? 3? Why or why not? I can't see why the streak isn't going to continue going through the holidays here. December should be the same.
As long as these prices stay where they're at, it's kind of, again, we've said this before, it's like a no-brainer to buy an Xbox One right now. Like I don't mean to say this, and again, I'm not fanboying at all, but I bought two for a reason. It's not because I'm like super addicted to Microsoft or I like to jack off Bill Gates. It's really just because the value is incredibly better right now. It is.
But you do like to jack off Bill
I do
Gates.
like to jack off.
That's independent of this.
That gives me enough money to buy the Xbox One, but it's not because he's going to give me the Xbox One. Yeah. Still use that money to buy it. But no, the reason is simple. It's the value currently far outweighs the PS4's value. And a lot of people have tried to argue the point to me that somehow, and I don't really ever, I'll tell you what, if anyone could just argue the point to me, send it in to us. I want to know, why is the PS4 currently now better than the Xbox One? And if you say graphics, I'm not going to take you seriously. I'm going to immediately shut you down. I have a PC that shits on all you fucking console players' graphics. Doesn't even matter to me. Give me a reason why currently the PS4 is a better value add right now than Xbox One. I can't see it. Maybe I'm blind. Maybe I'm stupid.
And even the graphics example, we've heard stories in the past where, you know, for titles that are on both platforms, the Xbox title has been a lower resolution at a higher frame rate. And the PlayStation 4 has the, you know, we're full 1080p, but you get frame drops and frame clipping and all these other weird artifacting things that happen from trying to push it at that resolution at the frames per second. So, you know, that's not a good argument. As of right now, comparing the prices and the value, the Xbox is a no-brainer. At least through this month, it'll definitely be a 2-month streak. I know a lot of the, like at least Microsoft's $50 price cut that they started this thing with, which has been more than that with all the retailers tacking on more. Because it should have been $399 became $349, but no one's paying more than $329 for these things at this point. And that goes through January 2nd. So January may be a different story, or Microsoft may be like, hey, you know what? We're selling enough of these that if we push X number of units, then it doesn't matter that we took this price cut, and let's just keep it at these prices. And that might not surprise me either, because that's going to drive title sales in the future, and they get the per copy of game, kickback, and as more and more people are buying digital stuff, there's a lot less overhead to all this, and they're making more and more money off of each game. So, yeah, I think we're going to see this at least through December and probably January as well, if not beyond.
Yeah. This is a great, and I think they really fucked up here. I mean, Sony should have done some sort of counter because momentum is really all you need, and all you need in this fight is to give people a reason to buy it. And it doesn't matter what it's either an exclusive game, and if it's all distilled down to nothing, if your games are all equal, then most people are going to just buy it based on price. That's just the normal way people go about buying their products. People like me and Derek don't do that, but like normal everyday schmoes that want to buy their kid a game system, or maybe they're saying, hey, I love Call of Duty, I wonder which one I should get. When everything is the same and one's $100 cheaper.
That's where you go. That was caused the problem to begin with. That's why Sony was ahead out of the gate.
Exactly.
People saw that same $100 thing. But
yeah. So, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how Sony reacts and how things actually, play out in the next couple of months. So. Yep.
Great question, Altius, as always. And thanks for being part of the show, bro. All right, well, if any of you have questions or feedback, give us a call, 773-527-2961. Email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. You can also comment on this episode's thread on the Tool to Play homepage. And sponsors. Remember, by supporting our sponsors, you help support Still Got Game. We are still looking for sponsors after we ditched those assholes GoDaddy, kicked them out the door. Boom. Fuck them. Fuck themselves. So you want to sell something here? Let us know. You write us an email, podcast@tooltoplay.com. Call us, 773-527-2961. Tell us what you want to tell. Tell us what you want to sell. We'll tell you what you're going to pay us. We'll sell it. You pay us. Boom. Done. Twitter us up. You can find everything Tool to Play related at twitter.com/Tool to Play. Everything podcast related at twitter.com/still_got_game. King of the fucking internet, god of everything that's fucking holy, at twitter.com/Derek Nolan.
And of course, you can reach me at twitter.com/DudeIRock.
Facebook the fuck out of us. Facebook.com/Tool to Play. Facebook.com/Derek Nolan.
Facebook.com/DudeIRock.
YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tool to Play. Go there for all of Tool to Play's video content. We archive every show we do live, as well as there's a bunch of one-off shows that only show up on our YouTube channel. So go there, subscribe, and you will never miss a piece of Tool to Play's video content. We also have a little app. It's in the iTunes App Store and whatever communist app store the Android losers are using these days. It is the Tool to Play app. Search for Tool to Play. It's absolutely fucking free. Free is the right price for most of our listeners because nobody ever wants to give us anything. Nobody subscribes to our Twitch stream, whatever. But free seems to be the price you guys like. So go pull down the app for free. Check it out. Instant access to all Tool to Play's content, whether it's video content, whether it's front page news content. Gives you instant one-touch button to dial in and leave a message for us. Pull it down, check it out. If you have comments on it, you want suggestions, we are definitely taking those. So let us know what you want to see from the app, and we will make improvements and try to make it exactly what you're looking for. Please rate and review this podcast in iTunes. We need some 5-star reviews. That's the correct number of stars. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, only 5. And if so inclined, Jay is saying 6 on the stream here, but 5 is really what iTunes still limits us to, no matter how many times we petition them for 6, because that would help our average. But yeah, definitely 5 stars. And if you're so inclined, please write a little something nice about us. Just, love the show, gods. Or encourage your friends to check us out and do the same thing, because really it's word of mouth that made the show what it is. And we'd like to keep extending that and push our way around so that people actually can discover us on iTunes now that there's 8 billion gaming podcasts on there. At the time that we built up our huge podcast listener base, there was a smaller group of podcasts,
like 100.
So now it's a huge marketplace of podcasts, and unless we get some good positive feedback, it's really just word of mouth that's spreading the show at this point. So please do that up and help us out. Last but not least, we have a Twitch channel. Twitch.tv/Tool to Play. A lot of you are watching us live here right now. A lot of you didn't even know that it is there. So check it out And that is where you can find this show live. You can find all kinds of gameplay live all week long. And that is going to be increasing as over the next couple weeks in the short term. We are bringing on our Twitch page, we're going to bring on a lot of our Tool to Play streaming people, bring them in there, and so kind of fill the channel with content. So there's always something there to watch. And if you're interested in a Tool to Play person that you want to help us out, want to get your streaming on our channel, podcast at tooltoplay.com, 773-527-2961. Just let us know, and we can bring you in. We can figure out where you fit in the schedule and how we can fold you in. But we would love to have you there. But on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/tooltoplay, to repeat that, down at the bottom, I know you can follow us for free, but there's a little subscribe button down at the bottom. And that is where the best of the best show their love for the show. They click there. They throw us. It's such a small amount of money. It's less than you spend in Starbucks a month. Guaranteed. Maybe less than you spend in Starbucks a single day. And that's just a monthly thing. And you can kick something back to us. And it means a lot. And we would love you to do that. So please go there and subscribe. And in the future, we'll be figuring out more and more things we can do with subs, including some special subs-only game nights and some other stuff that we can give a little something more back to the people that are willing to subscribe to the show, because it really means a lot to us. And that's really the people that are the bread and butter of the audience, are people that are willing to put their money where their entertainment is. So we love you guys, and thank you for subbing. And I just want to remind everybody before we wrap up, join us each and every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, twitch.tv/tooltoplay. And on that, Jay, why don't we wrap this episode up? I am Derek D. Smooth Nolan.
And I am Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
We got some DLC coming for this show.